A heartbreaker.
Hi everyone! So today my goal was 25 minutes without stopping, and I reached it. I did get a Gear Fit watch, which I'm hoping will help me count my steps. You know, I work from home, and it's very cold here, so it's kind of hard to get out. I know that's just an excuse, but I'm hoping that this Gear Fit watch will help me be a little more aware of my lack of activity. So I did 10 minutes on the bike this morning to make up for a little bit of binge eating yesterday, those chicken strips of course. Then tonight I did my 25 minutes, which I'm very proud of myself for. I know I'm not doing anything vigorous or anything, but I'm slowly building up to it, and I can't wait to get to a point where a leisure 30-minute bike ride is nothing. I don't even break a sweat, and I have to do like some vigorous stuff. So that's exciting.
It's a horrific scene.
My next weigh-in is on Thursday. I'm hoping to lose at least half a pound. I would be ecstatic.
Despite being shot
So,
in the head,
yeah.
Lisa is still alive.
What do you guys have planned for the weekend? I don't really get out that much. I'm new to the town that I live in, and it's kind of just me and my son. I'm legally blind, so I can't drive, so I have to use Lyft or Uber a lot, which kind of gets expensive. But yeah, so just kind of lounge around, probably catch up on Netflix. There's a new show on there called You that kind of piqued my interest. I like psychological thrillers, which is probably why I watch a lot of Forensic Files, just from all of the psychological standpoint of it, even though it's kind of depressing, I guess. I don't know. I'm really into criminal shows. It's weird. I don't know. But anyways, that's like I'm just rambling now, so I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
On his sister's life. 3 days earlier, a man tried to shoot her at the family's amusement arcade, where Lisa is the manager.
Lisa was in the office when there was a knock at the door. She opened it and saw a black male pointing a gun at her. The man tried to force his way inside the office to shoot her, but Lisa was able to get away from him and run to a restaurant next door.
2 robberies gone bad in the span of 3 days? Detectives wonder if this is just bad luck, or is someone targeting Lisa?
The next day, the news media proclaims her husband a hero.
The TV news, the newspapers, all ran big stories about how Costa was a hero. He had tried to protect his wife and had shot the robbers who broke into his house.
Miraculously, doctors at the trauma center are able to stabilize Lisa.
The bullet struck her in the forehead and lodged in her brain. Luckily, it didn't kill her, but it was considered too risky to remove, so doctors just left it where it was.
In the days after the shooting, Lisa's husband is a constant and emotional visitor.
Close friends and family were there constantly, and there was Costa, sitting right beside her bed, waiting for Lisa to wake up.
Investigators explore the couple's background. Costa Fotopoulos and Lisa met 3 years earlier, when Lisa's father introduced them.
Greeks have a time-honored tradition of matchmaking. Costa was from a good family, he was educated, handsome. Lisa's dad thought they would be a good fit.
It was a whirlwind courtship. Just 2 months later, they're man and wife, and Costa Fotopoulos joins the family amusement arcade business.
While Lisa's family was very wealthy, Costa didn't have access to that money. He had to earn his keep. And so he decides to open a bar and billiard hall a few doors down on the boardwalk.
He hires a 20-year-old named Deirdre Hunt to be a waitress.
Deirdre Hunt was a very stunning girl with an amazing figure. And Costa takes one look at her and says, "I'm going to have her."
What attracts Costa even more is the fact that Deirdre is a bad girl. She's been a topless dancer and a prostitute, and had even been involved in an armed robbery where a woman was shot.
Within weeks, the two were lovers. when one day Lisa enters the pool hall and with a wife's eye sees warning signs.
Costa denies that there's anything between them, but Lisa says she wants him to fire Deirdre. She says if she sees them together again, she'll divorce Costa and he'll be cut off from her family fortune.
As investigators start looking more closely at Lisa's shooting, red flags begin popping up.
The window that'd been kicked in just happened to be one of the few windows that wasn't connected to the alarm system. And the window was really too small for an adult to crawl through.
They also find it strange the killer bypassed numerous items of value, such as electronics, and went straight to the couple's bedroom.
Odder still is the fact that when he entered the bedroom, he walked around the bed past Costa to shoot Lisa. Now, if you were a burglar, wouldn't it make more sense to shoot the man first? He would have been the bigger threat.
2 days after the shooting, police get a major break in the case. They receive a call from a man named J.R. Taylor, who tells them he has information on the shooting.
Taylor tells police he is a former boyfriend of Deirdre Hunt's and hung around the pool hall where she worked. And he claims he knows that Lisa Fotopoulos' shooting was not a robbery, but a hit.
Not only that, Taylor says he knows who put the hit out. November 1989. Police in Daytona Beach, Florida, are investigating the attempted murder of 29-year-old Lisa Fotopoulos, who was shot while sleeping with her husband at the family home. Detectives are already convinced this was not a robbery gone wrong when they receive a call from a man claiming to have key information.
J.R. Taylor tells police that Costa's lover, Deirdre Hunt, had offered him $10,000 to kill his wife, Lisa, and when he turned her down, she went to others with the same offer.
She eventually found Brian Chase, a farm boy from Ohio who had only been in Daytona for a couple of weeks, and he agreed to do it.
Taylor tells police the real person behind the shooting was none other than Lisa's husband.
He says Costa wasn't going to leave Deirdre, and he knew Lisa was going to divorce him, so he decided to kill her and collect the life insurance money.
Taylor also identifies the man who made the previous attempt on Lisa's life as T.J. James, a boardwalk drifter who's also worked for Costa Fotopoulos. When police question James, he immediately confesses to trying to kill Lisa.
He confirms Deirdre had offered him $10,000 to kill Lisa and that Costa was behind it.
Now police have two witnesses saying Deirdre had offered them money to kill Lisa, so they bring her in for questioning.
She admits having an affair and plotting to kill Lisa.
She says the life insurance policy was $350,000 and it paid double if Lisa was murdered.
Deirdre says Costa turned off the security alarm and let Brian Chase into the house that night. He kicked out a window to make it look like a break-in.
Brian Chase uses a .22 caliber pistol given to him by Costa Fotopoulos to shoot Lisa in the head.
Deirdre says Brian is surprised to see Costa pull out his own gun, which he points at Brian and calmly squeezes off 5 shots right in his chest.
The story gets even more bizarre. She tells police her lover fashioned himself as an assassin and mercenary, and he made her kill a man in order to join his assassination club.
That was her initiation, to kill Kevin Ramsey, a 19-year-old bartender at Top Shots who had tried to blackmail Costa.
She says that 2 weeks before Lisa's shooting, they kidnapped Ramsey and tied him to a tree.
Deirdre admits shooting Ramsey 3 times in the chest and once in the head, as Costa videotaped the entire thing.
Investigators ask Deirdre Hunt if she can take them to Ramsey's body.
She takes them to a remote wooded area. They walk into the woods, and there, tied to a tree, is the badly decomposing body of Kevin Ramsey.
Police arrest Deirdre Hunt on the spot. They also arrest Kostopotopoulos and bring him in for questioning.
He denies hiring anyone to kill his wife. He denies killing Kevin Ramsey with Deirdre. He even denies having an affair with Deirdre, saying he's in love with his wife.
Prosecutors charge both with 2 counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of Kevin Ramsey and Brian Chase, plus conspiracy to commit murder for planning the death of Lisa. The police search of the Potopoulos home finds evidence that corroborates Deirdre Hunt's story.
Buried in the backyard, they find the .22 caliber pistol used to kill Kevin Ramsey. And hidden in the garage, they find a chilling videotape of poor Kevin Ramsey's murder.
Lisa Potopoulos fully recovers from the shooting and immediately files for divorce from her husband. On May 7, 1990, Deirdre Hunt pleads guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder and is sentenced to die in the electric chair. In October 1990, Kostopotopoulos goes on trial. He claims he was duped by Deirdre Hunt and knew nothing of the plans to kill his wife, but the jury doesn't buy it. They find him guilty of all charges. He, too, is sentenced to death.
Costa and Deirdre were 2 sociopaths, drawn together by their desire for money. There was a wicked attraction between them. It certainly wasn't love. And they were willing to kill anyone who got in their way.
Sydney, Australia. July 16, 2012, 9:18 p.m. In an apartment building in a northern suburb, a woman hears screams coming from next door.
She hears a woman's voice yelling, "Help, help!" Obviously something's very wrong, so she phones the police.
Other neighbors also hear the screams and gather outside the home of 31-year-old Rochelle Yeoh.
One of the neighbors hears Rochelle say she can't get to the door, and another hears her say, "He won't let me," which suggests a man is holding her against her will.
That theory is confirmed when they hear a man's voice inside the apartment say, "Everything's okay. There's no need to call the police."
The neighbors describe this man's tone as very calm, very controlled. He's doing everything he can to get them to leave.
The voices inside the apartment soon go quiet.
I think it was very frustrating for these people to know that something very bad was happening to Rochelle, and they were powerless to help her.
Moments later, police and paramedics arrive and force the door open. On the other side of it, they find Rochelle unconscious and face down in a pool of blood. EMTs note penetrating stab wounds to the right side of Rochelle's chest and the left side of her neck, which caused her to lose large amounts of blood. It's the kind of violence that suggests the killer was someone close to Rochelle.
Stabbing can be a very personal way to kill someone. It can also indicate a level of personal animosity towards the victim. The paramedics make several attempts to resuscitate Rochelle, but there's nothing they can do, and she's pronounced dead at the scene.
Police find trails of blood throughout the apartment.
There were bloody footprints that went through the living room to a window leading to an exterior balcony.
On the balcony railing, police find a bloody palm print and a trail of blood running from underneath the balcony all the way to the driveway.
This is a pretty clear indication that the assailant had jumped from the balcony in order to make his escape.
Investigators began tracking Rochelle's movements that day. They learned she left work around 6:30 p.m. and went directly to a yoga class. speaking with her father by telephone along the way. After the class, she called her boyfriend, Rob Hunt, around 9 p.m., but he didn't answer.
Rochelle and Rob had been dating for about a month. He, of course, becomes an immediate suspect. Detectives want to know what their relationship was like. Had they had any fights?
But investigators uncover nothing unusual about their romance. In addition, Hunt has an alibi that checks out. Police learned that Rochelle had just recently ended a fling with a married man.
Paul Mulvihill was a 44-year-old father of 3 from Brisbane. He and Rochelle met there while they were both working for a pharmaceutical company.
Detectives learned Paul Mulvihill was not the only one who was cheating.
Rochelle was also in a long-term relationship at the time she and Paul began dating. In fact, she became engaged to this other guy despite the fact that she was still seeing Paul Mulvihill.
Paul Mulvihill's wife discovers text messages between her husband and Rochelle. Yet despite being found out, the affair continues and grows more serious as Rochelle decides Mulvihill, and only Mulvihill, is the man for her.
They seemed to be drawn to each other like moths to a flame. They knew it wasn't good for them. Paul did not seem willing to leave his wife, yet they continued to date.
This raises all kinds of red flags and potential suspects for investigators.
Detectives in Sydney, Australia, are trying to figure out if 31-year-old Rochelle Yeo's steamy affair with a married man cost her her life. They learned that she was promoted at work and transferred from Brisbane to Sydney, but she continued to communicate with Paul Mulvihill and carry on their affair. Then, mysteriously, it ends in mid-May 2012.
She took steps to make certain Paul could not find her. She told coworkers and friends not to provide him with any contact information.
But there's evidence that Paul Mulvihill had been stalking Rochelle.
Rochelle told a friend that Paul said he was going to destroy her life just as she had destroyed his.
Paul Mulvihill is now a key suspect.
Rochelle's friends and family tell investigators that after she broke off the relationship, Mulvihill grew obsessive, alternating between threatening Rochelle and trying to woo her back. Investigators learned that on the day of the murder, Mulvihill told his wife he was going to Melbourne on business, but actually flew from his home in Brisbane to Sydney. There, he checked into a hotel and began acting suspiciously, which was caught on tape.
When he left the hotel, he wore a dark hoodie to hide his appearance and wedged open the back fire door so he could return later unnoticed. But when he returned at 9:58 p.m., cameras showed him try to open the door, only to discover it was locked.
Cameras catch him entering through the front door.
The footage showed that he was no longer wearing the hoodie and was barefoot. Why? Probably because the shoes were blood-stained and he had to dispose of them.
The next day, he flew back to Brisbane using an assumed name.
He took great pains to try and erase any trace of him being in Sydney so he could have an alibi, but it didn't work.
On July 17th, the day after Rochelle's murder, Paul Mulvihill is arrested.
He says he just wanted to talk and she let him in. Paul said that once inside, the two argued about their relationship and Rochelle pulled a kitchen knife and came at him.
Then they fell to the ground and Rochelle accidentally stabbed herself in the chest and then in the neck.
He tells investigators that when he heard the neighbors, he panicked and fled via the balcony.
Paul Mulvihill's story was just too convenient and too unbelievable. His history of stalking, plus his efforts to hide his identity, suggested he went to Rochelle's apartment in order to murder her.
Paul Mulvihill's trial begins on February 5th, 2014. While the testimony lasts 5 weeks, it takes the jury only 2 hours to find him guilty of murdering Rochelle Yeoh.
Mulvihill simply could not let go of Rochelle Yeoh. Although he was at fault, he blamed her for destroying his marriage and he wanted to punish her. And now he'll spend the next 2 decades thinking about that.
Two cases, one in Florida, the other in Australia. A sociopath couple looking to cash in, no matter the human cost. And a man who simply could not let go of his former mistress. More tales of desire, deceit, and destruction on Justice Served Murderous Affairs. Today, the stories of 2 murder cases. One in Sarasota, Florida, the other in Dunedin, New Zealand. In our first case, exotic cars, greed, and a hot date with a mysterious lingerie model proved to be a lethal combination.
He's just hoping for a good time, but it's going to be the worst night of his life.
In our second case, a cheating psychiatrist plays mind games to get what he wants.
This was about as cunning as it gets.
2 cases of love gone wrong, coming up now on Justice Served Murderous Affairs. Sarasota, Florida.
Florida again?
August 18, 1995, just after 1 p.m. A housekeeper arrives at the home of businessman Paul Edenson. It's a Friday, and Paul should be at work.
From the start, she can tell something's not right, and she can hear there's some kind of noise inside.
No one answers the door, but she has her own key.
TV's blaring, furniture's overturned. It's a horror show. There's Paul lying on the floor in a pool of blood.
The housekeeper calls 911.
Police respond, but it's too late. The pool of blood around him is all congealed. It's clear that he's been dead for hours.
Paul owned a dealership specializing in classic automobiles and sports cars.
He was a well-liked guy. Had he lived, this would have been his 39th birthday.
An autopsy confirms his last hours were violent ones.
He's been punched in the eye with considerable force. He's been shot in the head, and then his throat was cut with a serrated knife.
It was clearly an angry, brutal crime. And given the angle of the injuries, committed by someone who was left-handed.
His home, located on an exclusive island off the coast of Sarasota, shows no signs of a break-in.
Investigators suspect that Paul let his assailant into the house, which means that he probably knew him or her.
Police learned he was last seen at his car dealership the night before.
He was seen on the phone planning a date with some woman who had called him. He was giving her directions to his house.
So it's probably not a woman he knows well.
Evidence of the house suggests the date was cut short.
The table is set for 2, and there are bags of Chinese food takeout. And Paul, or someone, had just put rice on the plates when something happened.
After contacting the Chinese restaurant, detectives learned that Paul had ordered dinner the night before, and the delivery man dropped it off around 10 p.m.
Paul answered the door, dressed in a robe, completely calm.
Detectives asked the man if he observed anything out of the ordinary.
The guy remembers an old pickup parked in the driveway. It stood out to him because Paul's Mercedes-Benz was much nicer.
The delivery man also recalls something unusual.
The pickup truck had a fancy steering wheel that caught his eye.
Detectives now have some tantalizing questions. Who was the woman Paul talked to on the phone? Did they meet? And who drove the old pickup? With little else to go on, investigators examined Paul's phone records. Around the time he was overheard planning a date, phone records show an incoming call from a residence in nearby Bradenton.
They check it out and find this older woman lives there. She's a grandmother, not exactly who they were expecting.
The woman says she wasn't home on the night in question, so she couldn't have made the call. But her daughter was home. Maybe they should speak with her.
They get a description: 24, blonde, pretty.
And she drives an old pickup with an unusual steering wheel.
Her name is Hope Siegel, and investigators learn she faced some tough times.
She'd gotten pregnant at 16, was forced to marry the guy, had the baby, but by 18 she's divorced with a kid to support. She gives her kid to her mother and takes off.
She was not averse to using her good looks to get by. She made some money by working as a lingerie model.
Hope Siegel's mother fears her daughter is in trouble.
Mom admits to police her daughter recently left town with her boyfriend, and they're running away from something.
But there's more. Hope had called her mom from the road, revealing that she was scared and ominously telling her, "I was in the wrong place at the wrong time." Hope's boyfriend is Robert Trees. He's got a long rap sheet.
One more minute, Kayla.
At 18, he was discharged from the Marines after getting in a fight and slicing someone with a razor. A year later, he was arrested for robbing a motel in Wisconsin.
One more minute.
When he got out of prison, he moved to
Less than a minute.
California,
You got this.
where he broke into the home of a jeweler in an attempted robbery.
No, you want to quit. You can do it.
He later robbed a woman in her car, beating her till she gave up her dignity. That is bad news.
According to her mother, Hope
30
and
seconds.
Trees have been dating
You
for
can do
several
it.
months.
It's just 30
So
seconds.
what is she doing calling Paul Evenson for a date if she's got a boyfriend? Was she trying to make Trees jealous? Was this a love triangle?
Hope's mother tells police her daughter headed to Pittsburgh, where she and Trees are staying with a friend.
Authorities have to proceed with caution. Trees is a seriously dangerous individual.
As far as Hope Siegel goes, they don't really know. Is she his captive?
You did it.
His accomplice?
Former lingerie model